There are times I wonder if I'm really alone. There are times I wonder if I'm true. There are times when I feel alone in a full room. There are times I feel alone with you.
I identify as queer, genderqueer, transmasculine, gender non-binary. As far as what I was assigned at birth was a lot different than a lot of my peers at a really young age. But I never really thought it was weird or out of the ordinary or anything other than just being a more masculine female until I was a lot later in life, even like 18, between 18 and 20-ish. And so I feel like I noticed it when I was really young. But I didn't really start thinking about it until I was in college and I learned that I was able to, open it up and express it in a lot of different ways than just a masculine female or a tomboy. When you're a little kid, sexuality really isn't in the question. So if you're a more like masculine female, then like all the male identified little kids think you're awesome because you can like relate with them on ways that maybe other people can't. And if you're a tomboy, then you can still like connect with the females and your feminine identity, and you can still kind of meet those societal expectations on both ends. As I aged and as my identity and my gender expression changed a lot, I started to experience a lot more harassment around the way I look, and as far as like going into public restrooms and whatnot. I've been called out multiple times, or the way people look at me in more conservative or rural spaces, and the comments people make to me when they can't, when they try to put me in that box and they realize that they can't. Not necessarily harassment at a face value level, but I felt a lot of maybe like underground or underlying harassment as far as, identifying as trans but not having taken hormones yet, or identifying as genderqueer but your body's still looking a certain way, so I feel like there's a lot of expectations that people might not know that they have, or even within the LGBTQIA community there are still expectations for I feel like every label that people kind of like place upon you to fulfill. In those ways that I feel like I don't meet those expectations or I waver from those expectations, I feel like there has been some judgment or just some confusion or a lot of questions around like, well, if you identify as trans, are you going to take hormones, or do you want these body modifications, and in those ways, like even though in some ways I do, I feel like even if I didn't, I'd be pressured to say yes or to change those ideals just because I feel like that is what is expected of me. When I was still identifying as female, I was really attracted to the idea of like femininity with partners and sexual partners, and I'd always kind of had like an underlying fear of masculinity. I was really turned off by it. I didn't want anything to do with it. It didn't appeal to me. I never really knew why. I didn't have a reason for it. I was not attracted to masculinity in any shape or form. But I feel like as my gender identity has evolved, I realized that I don't think I ever had a fear of masculinity. I think, if anything, I wanted to hold that masculine role for myself. I just didn't know that, and so I thought that my general being turned off by masculinity just had to do with, just not being attracted to anything that had to do with male identifying or male bodied people. So like I said, since I have become and found a more masculine role in the world and identified as a more masculine person, I've been a lot more open to and attracted to the idea of masculinity within myself, even within other partners as well. And I think that has a lot to do with just realizing and like filling that void that I was missing within myself. Coming to the acknowledgement that it was never a fear, it was just something that I was missing, and there was no way for me to know that until I kind of stepped into that role for myself. For a long time, just thought, like I'm comfortable with my body. I feel okay in my body. I don't want my body to change. I identify as genderqueer, and like that's good enough for me. And then every day I feel like I woke up and something else was changing, and I would look in the mirror and there was something else I didn't like or that I wanted to change. And no matter how much I worked out or what I ate, nothing seemed to satisfy what I thought or looked like I was missing to myself. And so that was a wake-up call because, I never thought that I didn't have a relationship with my body until one day I was really just like, I'm never satisfied, there's something that I want and I don't know what it is. And then when I started looking into and like researching and seeing all the other people's stories that, took and engaged in HRT and where it felt so much better like in themselves, it finally clicked and I was like, you know what, like I think that is it. I think that's what I want. And so that's been a huge process, and it's sunken me into a few dark holes, but I'm finally at the point now where I realize that is something that I want to do for myself and I think would be highly beneficial for my mental health and my physical image down the road. As far as top surgery goes, I never felt also like that was something I wanted. And I also kind of just felt like my boobs are small enough, like I can cover them up, or I can wear loose enough clothing, or like they can be hidden and I can still pass. But as time went on, that was a thing again, where I was like, what if I want to wear tighter clothing, or what if I want to wear no clothing, and I still want to feel like I identify with the body that I have. As far as gender affirming surgery goes, the only one I really thought about is top surgery, and that is something that I have decided that at some point I want. That was something else that took a long time to get to that point, but now that I realize that it's just another thing that clicked and makes sense, and I feel so much more comfortable and ready to identify in that body than the body that I currently have. I feel like my biggest fear around gender comes from the fact that I never really realized that I didn't have a relationship with myself until fairly recently. So I didn't have the education around gender and sexuality at all. I grew up in a very white, very conservative area. My parents didn't have any education around it. I was never one of those like Tumblr kids who like scrolled through, and like I'm gonna find myself like online. I never YouTubed everything, so I just like I kind of just existed in the world, and I didn't realize how much I was seeking identity and security and affirmation through other people, and not really finding any of that within myself. So now that I'm at a point where I'm being slapped in the face with all of these things, I have a huge fear around gender just because it feels like I'm learning what it is for the very first time. It is new and it is foreign, and it's not bad at all. It's just scary because I thought that I was comfortable. Like I thought that I was in a place where I was able to just continue the rest of my life, and put myself behind all of these other things that I was putting in front of me. And then I got to a point where that just wasn't enough, and I wasn't able to continue like that anymore. And I realized that there's a huge gap between me and my mental health and like where I exist in the world. And I realized that bridge between that gap was my gender and my gender identity and my gender expression. For the first time, I'm able to just be the person that I've always known that I could and should be. So as scary as it is, it's also really rewarding. I have a lot of dysphoria lately. Dysphoria is not really something that was ever in the picture until I decided in a firm line of I do not feel comfortable in my body and something needs to change. Because I don't feel comfortable in my body, I feel like everywhere I go, the rest of the world is seeing me in ways that I don't necessarily want them to see me. And even so, like when I see myself in mirrors or just in windows walking downtown or anything, it's almost just like who is that person in a lot of ways, body and gender, because, my body, like I want a lot of changes to my body to happen, but also with my gender, like I'm definitely in a place where I still seek out and want a lot more changes to happen in that area as well. And I feel like both of those things combined inherently affect the social aspect of it, because everywhere you go, and every interaction you have, it's always at the forefront of your brain. And you're wondering, like, how do these people see me? If I'm telling them I'm trans, are they gonna, think I'm not because my body doesn't necessarily reflect that, or my voice doesn't reflect that, or all of these things. It's never been a thing to be scared to go to the bathroom until recently, and like, I can't go to the bathroom without like being so fearful of like what's gonna happen, who's gonna see me, like what are they gonna think, and should I go in this one, should I go in that one, and so it's just like dysphoria has been at the forefront of my brain for a very long time now. It definitely scopes the way I navigate the world, because as much as I want to put myself at the front of my actions or what I'm doing, when I am navigating a body I don't feel comfortable in, and in social settings that I don't know how other people are perceiving me, it makes it really hard to exist in those spaces with a clear mind and know that, everything's okay and that I'm comfortable, because it's not that easy. Put yourself first, find a relationship with yourself. before anything else, because I feel like being grounded in yourself and establishing that relationship with yourself is going to be the key component to having the motivation and the confidence to go throughout the world. Because I mean, you can make connections with anybody, you know. You can have friends who support you, you can have a family who supports you, you can have a community who supports you, but if you don't support you, nothing's ever going to change. It's so important to find that relationship with yourself and to find, you know, unapologetically and like authentically what makes you you, and just go with it, because there's literally nothing else that's going to matter at the end of the day. And once you put that first, and once that genuinely matters to you, the rest is just pieces, and the rest will fall into place. So.